feeling like you're constantly drowning in this digital deluge. You're absorbing every bit of productivity advice, but that real, sustainable success, it still feels miles off.
Yeah, like you're pedaling super hard, but the bike's not actually going anywhere.
Exactly. You're putting in all the hours, but are you building something solid or just more stress?
That feeling that always on, but not really moving forward, it's incredibly common today. Seriously.
Well, welcome to this deep dive, everyone. We're tackling that exact frustration head on. How do you actually break through to lasting success, especially now in 2025?
Forget the fleeting trends, the shiny new objects for a minute.
We're going deep into some foundational wisdom. Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
But hang on, this isn't just like a book report on an old classic.
Oh, definitely not. Think of it more like a radical firmware update for your brain, specifically for now. For the AI shifts, the constant news cycle, the pressure of building something online.
Right, because the world we're operating in demands a different internal operating system,
Yeah, absolutely. And our goal here isn't just to talk about these principles.
No, it's about how you can actually integrate them. Make them part of how you think, how you act, automatically.
So if you're feeling overwhelmed and you're ready to start building a brain that's actually your biggest advantage, you're in the right place.
We're aiming to give you a kind of blueprint, sharper focus, better habits, less fear, more resilience.
Your essential 2025 upgrade. So let's dive in. First, big takeaway. Stop reacting, start architecting. Your 2025 Proactivity protocol.
And this really kicks off with Covey's core idea, be proactive.
Which sounds simple, but what does it really mean in practice?
Well, fundamentally, it's about seeing that little gap, that space between what happens to you, the stimulus, and how you choose to react the response.
Okay.
That tiny moment, that's where your freedom is, your power. It's about consciously deciding, okay, I'm deriving my actions instead of just, being pulled along by events.
And man, in 2025, with things changing so fast, that feels more critical than ever.
It really is.
Yeah.
Because constant reactivity, that's just a straight path to burnout. You feel like you're always behind. Think about it. AI is shifting whole industries. Social media trends pop up and vanish. The creator economy.
Yeah.
It demands constant innovation.
Right.
If you're just jumping at every notification, every trend, you're basically training your brain for anxiety, not strategy.
Like being a firefighter putting out tiny fires instead of designing the fireproof building.
Exactly. You nailed it. So how do we flip that switch? Go from reactive to proactive architect.
Yeah, how?
It starts with what we're calling the responsibility rewire. First step, a daily non-negotiable.
Okay, what does that look like?
Before you even glance at email or social media, take a moment. Script your day proactively. Just jot down. Today, I choose my responses. My number one focus is your goal. I'll spend at least time block on key tasks, and I'll minimize distractions from specific distraction.
So you're setting your intention right at the start, like setting a compass.
Yeah, precisely. Then the second part is the pause and choose trigger. This is about building a new reflex.
Okay.
When something hits a crisis, bad news, a sudden demand, physically pause. Just take a breath.
Okay, pause. Then what?
Then ask, what's the proactive, principle-centered response here? The one aligned with my long game, not just my gut reaction. You're stretching that space between stimulus and response.
That sounds like it takes serious discipline. Our instinct is just to react.
It is. It's a muscle. You build it. And the final piece, control your information diet.
Meaning?
Be deliberate. When do you check news? How do you engage with social media? Don't let it be the constant background noise hijacking your focus. Be strategic about it.
Can you give us a real-world example, say, for 2025?
Sure. Imagine a graphic designer seeing all these articles about AI image tools. The reactive designer panics, I'm obsolete, starts slashing prices, grabbing any gig.
Yeah, I can see that happening.
But the proactive rewired designer pauses. Thinks, okay, this is a shift. What unique value do I bring that AI can't? Creative strategy, brand identity, complex storytelling. Maybe they even explore how to use AI as a tool.
So it's shifting from victim to architect of the response.
Exactly that. It's a fundamental shift in perspective.
Okay, powerful stuff. So
Yeah.
we're taking control of reactions, starting to architect. What's next? Takeaway 2, mental rehearsal, future memory. Install your 2025 Success OS.
Right. And this flows directly from Covey's begin with the end in mind.
Create the blueprint first.
Exactly. Everything gets created twice. First in your mind, then in reality. If you don't consciously design that mental picture, well, external stuff, pressures, demands, other people's agendas, they'll design it for you. by default.
And in 2025, there are so many external forces pushing and pulling. That internal vision seems vital.
Oh, it's absolutely critical. Think of all the opportunities thrown at you, new platforms, AI tools, business models.
Yeah.
It's endless.
Right, shiny object syndrome on overdrive.
Totally. Without a clear end in mind, you chase everything. Your energy gets scattered, your brain gets diluted, you end up half doing a dozen things.
Because your brain just goes for what's easy or loud.
Exactly, not what's actually important for your vision. That's why we need to actively build these future memories.
Okay, so how do we install this future success OS? What's the practical approach?
We call it the Future Self Firewall. First, a weekly visioning ritual. Just 30 minutes, uninterrupted.
What do you do in those 30 minutes?
Close your eyes. Vividly imagine yourself 1 year from now. Your ideal self. What's the business look like? Revenue, impact. How do you feel day to day? What about relationships? Then write down 3 to 5 non-negotiable outcomes that define that success. Get specific.
So it's much more than just setting goals. It's like feeling the future reality now.
Precisely. The more vivid, the more emotional resonance, the stronger it pulls you forward. Second part, the destination filter. Before committing to anything significant, a project, collaboration, time suck, ask, does this directly push me towards my end in mind, my non-negotiables? Or is it just a detour?
Like a bouncer for your time and energy, if it's not on the list for your destination.
It doesn't get in, exactly. And the final piece? Affirmative rehearsal.
Affirmations.
Yeah, but specific ones. Short, powerful, present tense statements reflecting your end in mind. Like, I am leading a thriving your business, generating your goal by delivering your value. Say them daily, maybe in the morning, and while you say them, visualize them as true.
Yeah, does that help?
It primes your brain's culture, the reticular activating system. It starts noticing things, opportunities, resources that align with that vision you're rehearsing.
Got an example of someone who really lived this begin with the end in mind.
Well, think about Sarah Blakely with Spanx. She had such a clear vision for her product, the impact. She mentally rehearsed its success, pictured it in stores long before it happened, faced tons of rejection, but that end in mind kept her going. It was her North Star.
That's a great example. Okay, so proactive, clear destination. Now, how do we handle the daily chaos? Takeaway 3, escape the urgency trap. Activate your 2025 CEO brain.
Yes, and this builds right on Covey's put first things first.
Which is about execution, right? Prioritizing based on the vision.
Exactly. It's the discipline to organize your time around importance, not just urgency. And wow, is that distinction critical in 2025?
Because the urgent stuff is just everywhere, nonstop.
It's relentless. Notifications, DMs, feeds, everything is designed for an immediate click, an instant response. It trains our brains for that quick dopamine hit of clearing something, even if it's totally trivial.
Yeah, you feel busy, but are you actually moving forward?
That's the trap. So many people spend all their time in real crises or quadrant 3, urgent but unimportant stuff like pointless meetings or some notifications.
And they neglect quadrant 2.
The magic quadrant, not urgent, but important. Right. Strategy, planning, learning, relationship building, system creation. That's where the real leverage for 2025 lies. But it doesn't scream at you.
So how do we rewire ourselves to actually do that quadrant 2 stuff?
Through the quadrant 2 rewire. First, implement a CEO block.
A CEO block.
Yeah. Every week, identify your single most important quadrant 2 activity. Something that builds long-term capacity. Maybe it's course creation, strategic planning, system building.
Okay.
Schedule a non-negotiable block, 90 minutes, maybe 3 hours for just that. Put it in your calendar before the urgent stuff floods in. Treat it like your most critical meeting. Because honestly, it is.
That feels almost rebellious, to block that time when the inbox is overflowing.
It is. It's an act of strategic leadership for yourself. You're investing, not just reacting. Second part, batch your reactions.
Meaning?
Designate specific, limited times to check email, social media, messages, maybe twice a day. Turn off notifications outside those blocks. Reclaim your focus. Train your brain for deep work again.
Wow, that alone sounds like a potential game changer for focus. What's the last part?
The importance litmus test. Before jumping on an urgent task, ask yourself honestly, scale of 1 to 10, how critical is this for my end in mind?
Okay.
If it's below, say, a 7, question it hard. Can it be delegated? Put off, deleted. Use your CEO brain, not just your reactive gut.
Can you paint a picture of this, maybe for a content creator?
Sure. The urgent stuff feels like responding to every comment instantly, tweaking tiny website details, jumping on every fleeting trend.
Yep, sounds familiar.
But the quadrant 2, CEO brain work, that's developing their next big course. outlining a long-term marketing plan, building systems to automate support. The creators who build lasting success, they fiercely protect time for that quadrant 2 work. Importance over urgency, every time.
Okay, that makes so much sense. So take control, know the destination, prioritize importance, but how do we sustain all this? Keep the engine running.
That brings us perfectly to our final core takeaway. Your brain is your #1 asset. The 2025 high-performance maintenance, Covey called it sharpen the saw.
Self-renewal.
Exactly. Consistently investing in your most valuable asset, you, across 4 dimensions: physical, spiritual, mental, and social emotional.
And in 2025, with this always-on pressure, that feels absolutely essential, not optional.
It's completely non-negotiable for sustained high performance. The pace, the information overload, it drains us cognitively. Burnout isn't just possible, it's epidemic, especially for solo founders or creators.
Right.
If you treat your brain like it's infinitely exploitable, like a machine you never maintain, performance tanks, decision fatigue kicks in. You get emotionally volatile. Maintaining your brain isn't a luxury, it's core operations for 2025.
Okay, so what does this neural recharge protocol actually look like day to day?
It's about conscious choices in those 4 areas. Physically, aim for at least 30 minutes of movement you actually enjoy. Get the blood flowing, manage stress, and prioritize quality sleep, non-negotiable for your brain to function.
It makes sense. What about mentally?
Mentally, deliberately learn things outside your niche, spark new connections, read deeply, not just skim, reduce mindless consumption, carve out time for actual focused thought.
And spiritually, this isn't necessarily religion, but connecting to your values, your purpose, finding inner calm, meditation, journaling, nature, gratitude, whatever works for you. Even 10-20 minutes daily builds resilience.
Okay, and the last one, social emotional.
Socially, emotionally. Nurture deep connections, real relationships, not just networking stats. Invest quality time with loved ones. Practice empathy. And crucially, set boundaries to protect your emotional energy.
It really sounds like a holistic view. Our mental power isn't separate from the rest of our lives.
Not at all. And you see top performers talking about this openly now. Ariana Huffington on sleep, Tim Ferriss on his self-experiments and routines. They get it. Sharpening the saw isn't downtime. It's essential uptime for your brain.
It's really striking how these 4 takeaways just fit together. They build on each other.
They absolutely form an integrated system. Proactivity lets you define your end in mind. Putting first things first helps you execute that vision. And sharpening the saw gives you the energy and clarity to keep it all going.
Covey's other habits are more about working with others, interdependence. But these first few, these private victories, they're the foundation, especially for navigating the complexities of 2025 on your own terms.
It's about building those new neural pathways, right? With each proactive choice, each filtered decision, each protected CEO block, each recharge.
Exactly. It's the less glamorous deep work, but it's what builds that internal fortress for real, future-proof success.
Wow. This has been incredibly insightful. It really drives home that if you feel stuck, maybe it's not about working harder, but about updating your internal programming for now, for 2025.
That ambition you have, that drive, it's fantastic. But channeling it effectively in today's world means consciously rewiring how you operate internally. That's the key.
So the challenge for all of us listening is to stop just reacting to 2025 and start architecting our place within it.
Right. Rehearse the success you want. Fiercely prioritize what actually matters.
And really commit to investing in our own mental and physical capacity, our core asset.
Build a brain that works for you in this complex era. It's totally possible. The power isn't in some magic bullet. It's in applying these timeless ideas with today's reality in mind.
And like Covey originally asked, the question isn't whether you can do this, the only question is whether you will.
Your future self is waiting for that decision.